Who's that? Who's that? Who's that? X-Wing? Luke? Oh my god, it's Luke Skywalker. Can't believe it. It's Luke Skywalker. Dude, green saber. So that was my reaction in the live stream to what happened in the finale episode, which was a crazy epic conclusion that I can't lie, I can't say that I didn't expect that, but to that extent, I mean, we were crying, we were laughing. It was just a roller coaster of an episode, a journey if you want to say so. But what happens after this finale? It closed so many doors and opened others at the same time. It boggles the mind to see what will happen next. The finale starts with Slave One going after a Lambda-class shuttle, and we quickly learn that it is harboring Dr. Pershing. They're trying to escape from Slave One, and much to the surprise of the Imperials, Boba does not shoot them down. Instead just stuns them as they board the Lambda-class shuttle, very smartly going after Dr. Pershing. There is one relentless pilot who is merciless. He kills even his own co-pilot and does not want to let go of Dr. Pershing. This is where we get an antagonizing situation between Cara Dune and this Imperial pilot who was in the original Death Star and taunts her about Alderaan. Not known to show gruesome violence, and they made a point to show him getting his head blown off. This was very surprising indeed. We've all felt that frustration with Disney projects such as, for example, Star Wars Rebels. Nobody ever blasted a stormtrooper or impaled them with a lightsaber. The conflict was very tame, and it is frustrating for adult audiences to see this. Even in The Mandalorian here, we've seen horrific things like The Mandalorian decapitating a Quarren with a closing door, but the camera cuts off before we can see that. This one though, we got to see live in action. A blaster bolt doing its thing, blasting ahead. So going to an industrial planet now, this is the plan coming to fruition. Din Djarin and Boba Fett, two Mandalorian foundlings, go inside a cantina where we quickly learn that Bo-Katan is inside. These two so-called Mandalorians are trying to recruit them in order to defeat Moff Gideon. What's important here is that Bo-Katan is not alone. She is together with Koska Reeves. We saw her in Bo-Katan's debut in episode 3. However, this proves to be very difficult. Bo-Katan does not believe in these two so-called Mandalorians, and to make matters worse, Boba Fett antagonizes them even further by saying that they do not need these two. They can handle the situation themselves, and this is where Koska Reeves gets involved. Calls Boba Fett a sidekick. I want to be honest here, I wasn't the biggest fan of this scene. I understand what they're trying to do here, to showcase a female Mandalorian being as good if not better than a male Mandalorian. I would have loved for Koska Reeves to have done this with a different character rather than Boba Fett, because it diminished sorta his legacy. Considering what Boba Fett ended up in this finale, how he superseded everybody basically, this scene was with Koska Reeves and Boba Fett and Koska battling each other, and Koska throwing Boba Fett around the cantina, breaking a table with him, was not a great sight to see for OG Star Wars fans. It was cringy and hard to stomach. They did not outright humiliate Boba Fett, but in many eyes, they downgraded him for basically a non-character in Koska Reeves. She is a member of the Night Owls and a trusted partner of Bo-Katan, but Boba Fett is in a different level. Kinda disappointed with that. To supplement that, Bo-Katan calls Boba Fett a disgrace to his armor, telling him that he is just a clone and not a real Mandalorian. So to the fans who do not consider Boba Fett a real Mandalorian, Dave Filoni gave them a bit more to talk about, because this is not a black and white thing. This is not he is or he is not a Mandalorian. We have basically the ruler of Mandalore saying that Boba Fett is not a real Mandalorian. He is just a clone, and he is a disgrace. Boba Fett just got dragged to the mud in this scene with Bo-Katan. With what the Mandalorian possesses, the information he has about Moff Gideon, there is no doubt that Bo-Katan is interested in helping him because, and as she explains it to him, the Darksaber is a weapon that she needs to have. Mando, of course, just wants the child, and he says to Bo-Katan that the child is his only priority. Nothing else matters to him. Once they're all inside Slave One, now comes time for Dr. Pershing to warn them about the Dark Troopers. Explains that these are third generation. The humans that needed to be suited up were the last problem to be solved. Now they are fully droids and they're capable of more than humans were. The plan was simple. They wanted to split in two parties, but the Mandalorian insisted that he go at it alone for the prison complex to save the child, and the female gang, Bo-Katan, Koska Reeves, Cara Dune, and Fennec Shand would go directly for the bridge to capture Moff Gideon once and for all. What Boba Fett would do is use the Lambda-class shuttle in Slave One as a decoy. This plan was to be very simple. The Lambda-class shuttle would get off a distress signal to Moff Gideon's cruiser saying that they are being attacked by Slave One and they need to board immediately. Moff Gideon, of course, refuses at first. However, Bo-Katan simply plunges inside the pathway where the TIE fighters are coming from, and the Lambda class is finally inside, with Boba Fett destroying the TIE fighters and escaping in hyperspace. Once inside, the Mandalorian and the gang were laying waste to anybody who confronted them. This is when Moff Gideon releases the Dark Troopers. A small detail of the railing problem in Star Wars: you have a bridge that has a very low railing, practically non-existent, and there's a shield down below. One stormtrooper gets shot, and not only would a railing would have saved his body at least, but he falls through the shield that is protecting the atmosphere. The middle of this episode, though, was stolen by the Dark Troopers. We get to see them released for the first time. Their movement was very claymation-like. I assume this was done on purpose in the animation. Mando actually gets right when they're about to walk outside, and he tries to close the doors, but one of them pries them open and gets outside. Blasters do not work against Dark Troopers. This is what we learned from Mando himself, who then takes off his Beskar spear and battles the Dark Trooper fiercely until he finds the weakness, plunges the Beskar staff right in the Dark Trooper's neck, disabling it completely. Bo-Katan and the others make it to the bridge. Unfortunately, they quickly realize that they were led astray. Moff Gideon is not there, and while Mando disposes of the rest of the Dark Troopers as they're closed inside their chambers, the pressurized door opens and they are sucked into the vacuum of space. Now he quickly needs to make it to the prison complex and free Grogu, but inside, Moff Gideon, it was waiting for him with his Darksaber turned on. It was sad to see Grogu in that state. He was completely vulnerable, but it was surprising to see, and I thought it would stick at first, that Mando made a deal with Moff Gideon. Basically, if you think about it, betraying everybody else just in order to save Grogu. He told Moff Gideon that he could keep the Darksaber and just leave as he is. All Mando wants was the child. And if you think about it, he actually said this to Bo-Katan herself. He told her that all he wants was the child, and Bo-Katan could have whatever she wants, meaning that Mando was not obligated to do anything for her, that Bo-Katan was going to take care of Moff Gideon herself. This was not Mando's job. At first it seems that Moff Gideon acquiesced, but that's not the case for the Imperial, as he turns on his Darksaber again and goes for Mando. His Beskar was the only thing that saved him at this moment, as he protected himself with his shield and then his Beskar staff. We see the full power of the Darksaber. Even Ahsoka's lightsabers could not fend off, or not as damaging to the staff as much as the Darksaber was. You could see the heat that the Darksaber gave off. This could indicate in canon officially that the Darksaber is much powerful than a random lightsaber. Nothing was confirmed, but this was a definite hit. Luckily though, Din Djarin bests Moff Gideon in this duel. And finally, not only does he save Grogu, but he brings Moff Gideon before Bo-Katan and before Cara Dune, who wants Moff Gideon alive. This is in order to interrogate him officially as a New Republic representative, because of course he knows a lot more than anybody else about the Imperial Remnant. But now Moff Gideon reveals a plot that weirdly enough puts Bo-Katan in a horrible position, as well as the Mandalorian. You see, whether he won or he lost, the Darksaber does not belong to Bo-Katan. Now that Mando had defeated Moff Gideon in a duel, the the Darksaber officially belongs to the Mandalorian. Mando tries to quit and acquiesce, giving her the lightsaber and telling her that he submits and he does not want to fight her. Bo-Katan cannot accept that. The Mandalorian code dictates that she needs to beat him in battle. The Dark Troopers are now coming back. Having been sucked into space, they now journey back to the cruiser and board the ship. Nothing could save him. An armada of Dark Troopers are approaching the bridge. As they are breaking the gate, everybody is prepared to practically die. There is no way to defeat them until the time has come, my friends. We see an X-Wing approaching. From the cameras, they could see that it is a Jedi. We have the glistening green lightsaber, and we all know who he is, my friends. He destroys all the Dark Troopers, and the last Dark Trooper is destroyed by only using the Force. It is Luke Skywalker. He has come back, and we see him in full effect. It is the Legends powerful Skywalker. I mean, he sliced through those Dark Troopers like they were nothing. This was, of course, the epic moment and the epic conclusion to what was an amazing episode. And I'm sure throughout the days, the weeks, and even the years, we will debate about Luke Skywalker's appearance because it was not fully done. The effects looked kinda bad. I gotta admit that. It wasn't Tarkin because Tarkin in Rogue One was 3D CGI. It looked like they did not use 3D for this. They deep faked it. They used that technology to project Mark Hamill's young face into another actor who probably looks a lot like him. But the face was very rubbery, very static. It did not move. And with that complaint out of the way, I know I don't want to be one of those guys, but it really looked bad. Whatever it is, now we have a savior for not only the gang, the Mandalorian, and everybody else, but we have a new teacher for Grogu. Luke tells Mando that he needs to convince Grogu to go with him. That's the only thing missing from Grogu being trained as a Jedi. We get to see R2 very briefly accompanying Luke Skywalker on his X-Wing, and what was the most gut-wrenching moment, bone-chilling, Mando, in order to convince Grogu, takes off his helmet. Grogu touches him in the cheek. I mean, if you don't cry at this moment, I don't know what kind of a person you are, because it is, if you are a diehard fan of The Mandalorian, this was a crushing moment. Even Din Djarin, a hardened Mandalorian living by a strict code, tears up when he sees Grogu leave with Luke Skywalker. Their friendship, their partnership is finally over. Now Grogu starts a new life with Luke Skywalker. If you thought the episode was not over, well, think again. There is a post-credit scene here with Bib Fortuna as we pan to two suns, which means, of course, Tatooine. We pan over and it is Jabba's palace. Bib Fortuna has now replaced Jabba and has become fat, just like Jabba was. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be a long reign because Boba Fett, together with Fennec Shand, kill everybody on sight. Lastly, Boba kills Bib Fortuna and takes his place on the throne. The Book of Boba Fett, coming December 2021. So basically exactly a year from now. This is the final conclusion to The Mandalorian Season 2, my friends, and it was a great journey. I can't wait to talk about it again in a year from now with you guys. It was awesome to do all this with you, and as I said, a lot of doors closed, but a lot others opened. Who can't wait to see what Boba Fett does with his rule of Tatooine? And Grogu, as trained as a Jedi by one of the best, Luke Skywalker. Guys, leave all your thoughts, all your opinions down below in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below, subscribe for dailies. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.